On February 4, 2013, 21-year-old Kelsie Marie Schelling disappeared after traveling from her home in Aurora, Colorado to Pueblo, Colorado. At the time, Kelsie was approximately 8 weeks pregnant and planned to meet her boyfriend, Dante Lucas, who lived in Pueblo. Her disappearance initially appeared voluntary, but subsequent investigation determined that she was the victim of homicide. Kelsie left Aurora driving her white 2012 Ford Focus. Phone records later showed she arrived in Pueblo the same day. Surveillance cameras captured her car at several locations, including a Walmart and a gas station. These sightings confirmed that she reached Pueblo safely. After those recordings, there were no verified sightings of Kelsie alive. Kelsie's phone activity stopped abruptly on February 4th. When she failed to return home or respond to messages, her family became concerned. She was reported missing on February 11, 2013. Aurora police began working with the Pueblo Police Department to trace her movements and reconstruct her last known activities. Investigators quickly identified Dante Lucas as the last known person to see Kelsie alive. Lucas told police that Kelsie had arrived at his apartment but left after the two argued. He claimed she left on her own and that he did not know where she went afterward. Lucas also said Kelsie appeared upset and emotional during the visit. Kelsie's car was found on February 14, 2013, abandoned in a parking lot near St. Mary Corwin Medical Center in Pueblo. The car showed no signs of forced entry or a struggle. Personal belongings were still inside, including her purse. The discovery of the vehicle raised concerns that she did not leave Pueblo voluntarily. Investigators examined surveillance footage near the hospital and surrounding areas, but did not find video showing Kelsie leaving the area on foot or meeting anyone else. Her phone, wallet, and other items were not recovered. No financial activity occurred after February 4th. Over the following months, police conducted extensive searches, including ground searches, canine searches, and interviews with friends, family, and associates. The investigation revealed inconsistencies in Lucas's statements. He provided conflicting timelines and changed details when questioned by law enforcement. In May 2013, Dante Lucas was arrested on unrelated charges involving forgery and possession of a forged instrument. While incarcerated, investigators continued to examine his relationship with Kelsie. Friends and family described the relationship as unstable, and evidence showed Lucas did not want the pregnancy to continue. In 2014, Lucas was charged with felony forgery and later convicted. During this time, the missing persons investigation remained open. Police stated publicly that there was no evidence Kelsie was alive and that her disappearance was being treated as suspicious. In 2017, after years of investigation, the 10th Judicial District Attorney's Office charged Dante Lucas with first-degree murder, unlawful termination of a pregnancy, and tampering with a deceased human body, despite the fact that Kelsie's body had never been found. Prosecutors stated they believed Lucas killed Kelsie inside his apartment on February 4, 2013. According to prosecutors, evidence showed that Kelsie was alive when she entered his apartment and never left. Cell phone data placed her at his residence, and Lucas's phone activity during that time contradicted his statements. Investigators also cited Lucas's internet searches, inconsistent behavior, and lack of cooperation as contributing factors. The case went to trial in November 2020 in Pueblo County District Court. Prosecutors presented circumstantial evidence, including cell phone records, surveillance footage, witness testimony, and Lucas's changing accounts. They argued that Lucas killed Kelsie and disposed of her body, although they acknowledged they could not prove the exact method of killing or the location of her remains. The defense argued that there was no physical evidence linking Lucas directly to Kelsie's death and emphasized that her body had never been recovered. They suggested alternative possibilities for her disappearance, though no evidence supported those claims. On November 17, 2020, the jury found Dante Lucas guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder and unlawful termination of a pregnancy. The conviction marked one of Colorado's most prominent no-body homicide cases. In January 2021, Lucas was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 48 years for related charges. The court stated that the sentence reflected the seriousness of the crimes and the loss of both Kelsie and her unborn child. Despite the conviction, Kelsie Schelling's body has never been found. Law enforcement officials have stated that searches continue periodically and that tips are still accepted. Investigators believe Lucas disposed of her remains somewhere in southern Colorado, but have not disclosed specific theories publicly. Kelsie's family has remained active in raising awareness and advocating for missing persons. They have stated that while the conviction provided accountability, the lack of recovery of Kelsie's remains remains a source of ongoing grief. The case demonstrated that homicide convictions can be achieved without a body when sufficient circumstantial evidence exists. Prosecutors emphasized that advances in digital evidence, including cell phone data and surveillance technology, played a significant role in reconstructing Kelsie's final movements. Kelsie Schelling was 21 years old at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen on February 4, 2013 in Pueblo, Colorado. Her case, once considered a missing persons investigation, was ultimately resolved through prosecution and conviction, though the location of her remains remains unknown. Law enforcement continues to classify the case as closed from a legal standpoint, but unresolved in terms of recovery. Authorities have stated they remain open to new information that could lead to the discovery of Kelsie's body and provide additional closure to her family.
Samantha Jean Hopper was a 19-year-old woman from Russellville, Arkansas, who disappeared on September 11, 1998, along with her 22-month-old daughter, Courtney Esther Danielle Holt. Samantha had told her family she, Courtney, and a friend were traveling to Little Rock, Arkansas for a concert. Samantha was approximately 9 months pregnant at the time she went missing. On September 11, 1998, Samantha and Courtney were last seen driving a blue Ford Tempo. The plan was for Samantha to drop off her daughter in Russellville before continuing to the concert. Neither Samantha nor Courtney arrived at their destination, and neither was seen or heard from again after that day. Their car also vanished with them. Family members reported Samantha and Courtney missing after they failed to return and could not be reached. Investigators from the Pope County Sheriff's Office and the Stuttgart Police Department in Arkansas opened missing person inquiries. The case was entered into national missing and unidentified persons databases, and efforts were made to locate the pair, but no substantial leads developed in the immediate aftermath of their disappearance. For more than 2 decades, the whereabouts of Samantha, her daughter Courtney, and their vehicle remained unknown. The missing persons case drew periodic attention from family and advocates, but without verified sightings or evidence of their location, the case remained unresolved. The belief among investigators and family was that something had happened to them, but there was no confirmed information pointing to their fate. Over the years, the story of Samantha and Courtney's disappearance circulated in cold case circles and among advocates for missing persons. Family members and supporters maintained interest in the case, hoping new information or technology would eventually provide answers. There was no public evidence that either Samantha or Courtney had been seen after September 11, 1998, and little concrete information emerged in the decades that followed. In the fall of 2021, more than 23 years after the disappearance, a significant development occurred in the case. Volunteers and cold case search teams, including members of the nonprofit group Adventures with Purpose, were conducting searches for missing person cases in Arkansas. On October 26, 2021, a vehicle matching the description of Samantha Hopper's blue Ford Tempo was located under approximately 8 feet of water in the Illinois Bayou, off Pleasant View Road, north of Interstate 40 near Russellville. The group used sonar and dive teams to investigate a target in the water. The submerged vehicle was confirmed to be the same make and model as Samantha's car, with no license plate visible, consistent with the vehicle's last recorded details before the disappearance. The discovery occurred roughly 25 yards from the bank. Once the vehicle was raised from the water with the assistance of a crane and towing teams, law enforcement observed human remains inside the car. A car seat was seen in the back of the vehicle, indicating that the missing child's seat had remained in place since 1998. The remains were taken into custody by investigators and sent to the Arkansas State Crime Lab in Little Rock for DNA testing and identification. The Pope County Sheriff's Office publicly acknowledged the discovery and stated that the case had taken a step toward resolution with the recovery of the vehicle and remains. Officials expressed condolences to the families of Samantha Hopper and Courtney Holt, recognizing the emotional significance of the development for loved ones who had waited decades for answers. DNA testing was expected to take place at the Arkansas State Crime Lab in Little Rock to determine whether the remains belonged to Samantha, her daughter Courtney, or both. In statements at the time, law enforcement indicated that DNA from family members, including Samantha's surviving daughter who had remained at home when the pair disappeared, would be used to assist in positive identification. Family members, including Samantha's surviving daughter, expressed that the discovery of the vehicle and remains offered a form of closure after more than 2 decades of uncertainty. While the testing process was ongoing, the identification of the remains was seen as an important step toward understanding what happened to Samantha and Courtney after they disappeared in 1998. The case of Samantha Hopper and Courtney Holt had remained one of the more haunting unresolved missing persons cases in Arkansas because of the prolonged lack of information. The abrupt disappearance of a young woman, her child, and the absence of clues had left a long-standing question for law enforcement and the family. The eventual discovery of their vehicle brought renewed attention to how long cold cases can sometimes be advanced through community involvement and specialized search efforts. Adventures with Purpose, the group credited with locating the vehicle, is known for working on cold cases involving submerged vehicles and missing persons. Their work often involves sonar scanning of bodies of water and coordinated dives to locate evidence linked to long unsolved cases. This approach has yielded similar discoveries in other cold case situations where traditional search efforts had previously failed. The use of modern technology and volunteer search efforts represented a key factor in the 2021 development. Ground and underwater search methods, including sonar imaging, allowed investigators and volunteer teams to pinpoint the location of the submerged vehicle decades after the disappearance. The involvement of specialized search groups highlighted a trend in cold case investigations toward collaboration between law enforcement and civilian organizations with technical expertise. The scientific process following recovery included careful documentation of the scene and transfer of remains to forensic specialists. DNA analysis involving comparison to known family reference samples was necessary to confirm identities. The initial discovery of remains is only one step. Forensic verification provides the definitive link between recovered bones and missing individuals. The Pope County Sheriff's Office noted that until DNA results were available, it could not definitively state who the remains belonged to. However, the family and law enforcement officials prepared for the likelihood that the remains would be identified as those of Samantha and Courtney, given the location of the vehicle and the context of the disappearance. Prior to the 2021 discovery, there were no confirmed sightings or movements of Samantha or Courtney after September 11, 1998.
investigators considered multiple possibilities for how the car ended up underwater, including accidental submersion, intentional concealment, or other scenarios, but there was no public conclusion about the mechanism by which the vehicle arrived under the water. The effort to solve the case drew on information from family, law enforcement records, and the persistence of advocates who kept the missing persons profiles active in national registries. Over the years, websites dedicated to unresolved disappearances, such as the Charlie Project, maintained the entries for Samantha and Courtney, ensuring that their case remained visible to investigators and the public. If the DNA results confirmed the identities of the remains, this would transform the case from a missing persons file to a death investigation, opening possibilities for determining cause, manner, and possible responsibility if foul play was involved. However, as of latest publicly available information, the focus remained on identification rather than conclusions about how the individuals died. Samantha Jean Hopper was 19 years old when she disappeared, and her daughter, Courtney Esther Danielle Holt, was 22 months old at the time. They vanished on September 11, 1998, and their situation remained unresolved for 23 years. The discovery of their vehicle with human remains nearly a quarter-century later marked an important factual development in a long, cold case.